Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being part of this program. So I'll offer a quick prayer and we'll discuss something. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadigo Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, first of all, a very, very happy 2026. My sincere prayers and best wishes for your good health, for successful year, and may each and every one of yours, all aspirations may come true. To begin with 2026. Life is full of surprises. How many would agree? Life always never function according to the plan. हम प्लान कुछ और करते हैं, पर टाइम टेबल हमारा कोई और ही बना रहा होता है. How many of you agree? Please raise your hand. और हमारा जीवन सिर्फ प्लानिंग में निकल जाता है, और यहाँ जीवन कब बीत गया पता भी नहीं चलता. Not only life is full of surprises, I don't know for you, but if I look back, it's also very fast. I didn't realize until recently, when I had to end up in a hospital and I had to fill up the form, they asked me for my age. And then I realized, oh, okay, I'm growing old. Because it was such a long time. I don't know when was the last time anyone ever asked me for my age. You know, body may be growing old, but at my heart I still felt I'm that young 20s guy moving around, doing programs, doing activities and whatnot. Unplanned, unexpected, unscheduled, had no expectations of it. Suddenly my life took a pause. And that pause taught me something very valuable. It taught me the value of life. It taught me the value of relationships. And most importantly, it taught me the value of the gifts of the Lord that we all have received in our life. Unfortunately, we never pause to look back at it and express our gratitude. Long story short, I had to go through a medical treatment or a surgery, minor surgery, not something big about it. By the way, this is the first lecture of mine this year. It generally doesn't happen like this. And I was forced to be silent for 2 weeks. And it was a big austerity. To be silent and not to speak for 2 weeks because you're in a medical situation. And I suddenly realized when you choose to be silent, people around you to speak more than ever. I was a recipient of so much listening. But nonetheless, it was a great lesson that I learned. Long story short, since I've come back, many have asked, what exactly happened? What did you go through and all that? So I was reflecting because I had all the time to reflect. I was just sitting by myself. So I reflected on a few things that I thought I'd like to share with all of you. And my idea is, it's a mission statement of 2026 for me. And I'd like to share my mission statement of this year with you. If you find anything valuable, maybe handpick it and think about how you want to spend your 2026. Because there cannot be a greater teacher than life itself. Life is the greatest teacher, or best teacher, only if you could see life from that perspective. Long story short, fast forward, I'm in a hospital. I'm admitted in a hospital. It's around 9:30 p.m. I'm in my hospital room, and my father was there. We had a nice room which was arranged by the doctor. And I asked my father, I said, this is my first time going to the hospital. I mean, of course, third time, because I was probably born in the hospital. I don't remember. I don't know, 45 years ago, kids were born in the hospital, in the house. Mothers can tell better. I don't know. But assuming if I was born in the hospital, then this was probably my third visit. And last visit was just, I had some minor, fever kind of a thing. So they put you in the hospital for a few days. So you're kind of relaxing, you're enjoying your vacation. So I went in this hospital, again thinking it's a vacation time. But this time it was a surgery. I didn't know of it. So I'm here in the hospital room, and I asked my father, I said, we were in Chennai when this all happened. So I asked my father, surgery is tomorrow. Why do you want to be with me in the hospital? Please go back and come tomorrow. And I'm going to sleep nicely, tightly, wake up tomorrow morning and whatnot. So then father agreed, my brother-in-law was also there. He went away. Before I get into the story of what all happened, so when it was decided that I have to go through the surgery, so सबसे पहले आप हॉस्पिटल में पूछते हो बिल कितना होगा, और जब बिल की बात आती है तो पहले इंश्योरेंस चेक करा जाता है. हमारा जीवन इतना भगवान भरोसे है कि हमारा इंश्योरेंस ही नहीं था. So जब उसने लंबा चौड़ा बिल बताया, so I mean he didn't tell me the bill. It was a nice doctor. So I told him, I said, see, what lifestyle I have. He had read about me and he had heard from one of my students. So he knew about my life. He had lived in America, left America, and I'm a monk kind of a thing, all that, and knew of it. So then he said, yes, I know of your life. So don't worry. I'll talk to the management and we'll make the best consideration for you. And Bill had to run in few lakhs, whatever it is. So finally, his staff member called me and she said, Dr. Anand, he has spoken to the hospital management and he have told the management that you are his VIP guest. So you are his VIP guest. You will be charged the minimal, shared bedding or whatever you call it. Dormitory, I don't know what they have in hospital. Common room. You'll be charged the minimal, but you'll be given a VIP treatment. VIP, what I've heard before. When sometime you go for a program in a hotel, there is a VIP treatment. And I'm about to get into a shock of my life what VIP treatment means a hospital. All this while, I was not in the thought process that I'm entering a hospital, not a hotel. So I have a beautiful room, everything is nice. At 9:30, I'm planning to sleep. My only objective is, जल्दी सोऊंगा, सुबह जल्दी उठूंगा, नाम जप करूंगा, चेतना को चुष्ट पुष्ट करूंगा, ताकि जब ऑपरेशन थिएटर में जाऊं, भय नाम की कोई चीज नहीं होनी चाहिए. So by 10 o'clock, I switched off the light, I went to sleep. I went to the door to see if the door has a knob. यार हॉस्पिटल में होता ही नहीं. There is nothing to latch. So I thought, okay, after all, I am VIP. Nobody would disturb. I went off and I tried to sleep. 15 मिनट ही हुआ होगा, धड़ाम से दरवाजा खुलता है. एक बंदा अंदर घुसता है and he switched on all the lights. And he came right next to my face. बोला, sir, wake up. मैंने कहा, यार अभी तो 5 मिनट भी नहीं हुए सोए हुए. सर्जरी तो सुबह 8 बजे थी. ये कौन आ गया? I opened my eyes. He really looked like a room service guy. I asked him, who are you? He says, sir, I'm a night duty doctor. मैंने कहा, तेरे को किसने बुलाया night duty doctor? मेरा तो सोने का प्लान था. Frankly speaking, I had no idea about what I was getting into it. So then he asked me, what are you getting treated for and everything? So then I told him, I said, doctor, I have a request. I really want to sleep. While you're going, I'm already tired. Can you please make sure you switch off all the lights? And make sure nobody comes to the room now. And I remember when I told him like this, he didn't know to smile or cry. His face was so blank. And I'm the king of ignorance right now. I have no idea what it means to be in the hospital. So doctor didn't say anything. He just said one thing, all right. And he walked away. and actual nightmare started. They did not let me sleep until 1 a.m. After every half an hour, now I don't know, maybe he got frightened because I said something. He never came, but nurses began to come. And they were really looking like, something. And they would come, they'll put needle here, they'll put needle here. And I'm just thinking, after all, I am a VIP, I expect some VIP treatment. What is going on? And by 1 a.m., they have put so many needles and they have taken blood samples, they have done this. I had just this one realization, in hospital, VIP doesn't stand for a very important person. It's eventually the fact of life. You are a very insignificant person. Because doesn't matter your titles, doesn't matter your position, because they treat patients day in, day out. I remember the nurse, she came. I was sleeping. She didn't wake me up also. She just lifted my hand and poked a needle. And when she poked a needle, I kind of partly screamed, "Ye kaun sa shock hai?" She didn't say anything. What happened, they had told me not to drink water previous evening. भाई हम रात को जल्दी सोते हैं. Evening मतलब 7 p.m. She poked a needle and this area became black. And then she suddenly said, "Sir, आपने पानी नहीं पिया?" मैंने कहा, आपने तो मना करा था, पिछले शाम को पानी नहीं पीना. She said, "Sir, रात को 12 बजे के बाद पानी नहीं पीना था." मैंने कहा, 12 बजे इवनिंग होती है, मॉर्निंग होती है. तो मैं क्लियरली बोला. She didn't say anything. She moved from here. She poked a needle here. And this body was really a body for her, machine for her. Poked a needle, and she's, I don't know what she's trying to find in my hand. She's literally digging. And I screamed. You know what she said? Sorry, huh? Sir, I pricked you too hard. Sorry. She walked away. Then another nurse came. Until 1 a.m., this nightmare continued. And at that point of time, I was thinking, and trust me, there is nobody right now. Because I had already asked my father to go back, because I was, after all, thinking that I'm going to sleep. It was 1 a.m., I'm in the room, I don't know, they were really looking like my, yam dutanis, they were coming. So I didn't know if they're going to come back or not, and I remember around 1 a.m. I was thinking, did I really make the best decision? Because this whole decision was made in less than 4 days. And everyone was saying, you've made a very quick decision. Why don't you just take your time? And I said, one thing that I don't have is time. If I come back to Pune, it ain't going to work. Because this was something supposed to happen 10 years ago, and I had been delaying it. And that's where I want to bring to the very first lesson. Hare Krishna, who is handling it? You focus there, please. Don't move around. The pain before the pain, that is decision making. How many of you would agree? The most difficult thing, at least that I realized, and challenging thing that we as adults face day in and day out is to make decisions in life. Please raise your hand. How many of you have noticed, kids, they're always bubbly, they're frolicking around, they have no anxiety of life. What's the difference between them and us? They don't have to make decisions because we make decisions for them. And here, because we have grown up and we have to make decisions, it gives us so much anxiety, so much pain, which is unavoidable. In retrospect, when I look back, the pain of needle is gone long, long ago. But I remember those 3 days when I was going through all those calculations, different opinions, and the world is designed so brilliantly. No two people will give you one opinion. Yes or no? आपने person A को पूछा है तो बोलेगा कुछ और. Person B entirely opposite. And then you're thinking, मैंने पूछा ही क्यों? मतलब you become so confused. How many of you have that experience in your life? And that is what decisions exhaust. Life became difficult not because of pain, but because I had to decide. Those 3 and 4 days was pretty tough. And if I look back, 2025 had not been so easy for me. Some very important decisions that had to be made. So maybe I was getting used to it. Nonetheless, I often get involved in decision making in lives of others also. And when this all had happened, I was just thinking, why do we struggle to make decisions? How many of you agree that we find it difficult to make a decision? And even if we have made a decision, we are still worried, sahi liya, galat liya. How many of you have that problem? 100%? Even the eldest most members are agreeing to it. So it is not post-retirement you'll become good at it. There is no retirement to this. So I have an open-ended question for each and every one of you. What's the difficulty? What's the difficulty? Huh? Uncertainty. Absolutely good. What's the difficulty? Why we so much struggle with decision making? Yes, please. Consequences, fear of consequences, okay, uncertainty. Failure, again, result consciousness, consequences. Anything else over here? Who's speaking? Yeah. Trust issues, okay. Anything from this side? Decision making, what's the challenge? Lack of clarity. Whoever speaks, please raise your hand. Huh? It's like the cloud to me. Huh? I don't know from where the sound is vibrating. Yes, please. Result. What would be the result? It's a brilliant sound, but I just don't know from which corner of the room it is coming. It comes over there. Okay, there she is. Yes, yes, please go ahead. What did you say? Yeah, the responsibility of the outcome. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. If something goes wrong, we are not ready to take the blame. Okay? Yes? Analysis paralysis. You do too much analysis, you end up with paralysis.
We feel not qualified.
Yeah, that's only devotees. You're being humble with that. Or we don't feel qualified to make decisions. Okay, so be it. Okay, anything else? Okay, first of all, give a big round of applause for each one of you because you gave the right answer. Please move forward. Go ahead, go ahead. We think suffering is hard, but very often deciding is even harder. Please move forward. So, the decision trap. I like to quote a Gita wisdom here. Bhagavad Gita has one particular verse. There are a few verses which have been repeated twice, but there's one of the verses which repeats twice, which Krishna, right at the beginning, says, give it up. If you want clarity in your life, why we are struggling with decision making? Do you all agree? Because we lack clarity? Yes or no? All that reason boiled down to one thing, we lack clarity. Krishna says, if you want that, you got to give up three things. And he says, give up raga. What it means? Attachment to comfort. Which means, we want change, but not the pain. We want treatment, we want success, but we don't want the pain accompanying or the austerity for it. And that's the reason we are fearful. We don't want to give up our comfortable position. How many of you agree with this? Since I have come back, I have got a couple of calls asking about the treatment, and we have also similar issue. We will also like, and they always have the first question, how much was the pain? Kitna dukh hua tha surgery mein? I said, no pain, no gain. And if I tell you the pain, you would never ever go for it. In that case, ignorance is bliss. It's always better. So that's first thing. Second, that leads to fear. Fear dressed as logic. That's fantastic. It always presents itself as nothing to worry. I'm being logical. And therefore, people end up being overthinking. How many of you agree? People will take consultation for person A, person B, person C. They will keep taking consultation and they end up being an overthinker. Overthinking. How many of you have seen people around? They just do too much munching. Analysis or paralysis. The gentleman just said, yes or no? The base is fear. We are fearful of it. We are fearful of taking that step because we are so much uncertain about the result. Matter of fact is, we would always be uncertain about the result. And the greatest irony about it, when you get admitted in the hospital, although the doctor, you know what my doctor told me? I said, so how many days I would be okay? He said, one day you get admitted, next day you get surgery, you relax, third day we set you free, and you're free bird. I didn't knew for 2 weeks I cannot speak. What free bird? And after the treatment, he told me, 5 days, don't go out. I said, what is his free word definition? Then he told me, if I'd ever told you, you would have not have agreed. You know? And they take a signature. We would not be responsible. How many of you have been, I mean, it's not a good place to visit, but if you've ever been, they always get the signature. We will not be responsible. We have a full authority. There is no anything. Very interestingly, I was in Chennai this very unfortunate day, I believe a couple of days before, when our respected Ajit Dada, he departed in a plane crash. So I had a flight that evening from Chennai to Pune. I got a call from my friend. He said, Prabhuji, आज रात आपकी flight है? I said, yes. Prabhuji, आपसे एक request है. Prabhuji, जब flight में बैठे ना, उड़ने से पहले नरसिंह आरती जरूर गाइएगा. And I asked him, I said, I travel so frequently. तूने मुझे कभी कॉल करके ये याद नहीं दिलाया कि नरसिंह आरती गाना. How come you're reminding me today? बोला प्रभु जी आज सुबह सुबह ना प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है तो थोड़ा मन में भय है. And that time I began to wonder, can you imagine there are certain things in our life for which we make decision very quickly because everyone is making that decision. But I just want you to imagine if you end up airport on that particular day and you happen to be the only person in the flight. You will become doubtful of your decision of flying. Yes or no? So if you take a pride in saying that I take decisions, I want you to reconsider. What you're taking pride is not in your ability to take decision. We are still doing what everyone else is doing. Actually, the most important decisions in our life, often we have to make it alone. And that is those decision making that causes the greatest stress to us in our life. And that is where we're sharing this reason. And finally, third thing which comes is krodha. This is not, krodha means anger in that way. It is about mental restlessness, mental agitation. Person becomes so agitated, so disturbed. He becomes agitated and disturbed without doing nothing. Decision liya nahi hai, but that fellow is overstretched. How many of us have had, if any of this closest experience, जहाँ में इस चीज़ का experience रहा हो? So decision making is not that easy. I would not get into the solution because that's a big subject, but I just wanted to bring about this thing. Maybe we all can think about in this 2026 how we can improve that decision making ability. Please move forward about it. So ultimately, when analysis ends, trust has to take its place because we cannot put our step forward unless that trust is there. You know, every time I remember there was a guest who had come for a program and another Hotel Tamanna. Program ended, he was coming down and it was raining outside. He used to come every week. He was just walking down the ladder, the staircase right outside the hotel, and it was raining. He slipped. And he broke both his hands. And both his hands had fracture for weeks together. Can you imagine when he would have put his feet down, he would have never thought anything untoward could happen? Our life runs on faith. When we become so much over-possessed about information, details, that does not guarantee clarity. Point is, we will never have clarity. Somewhere we'll have to put faith and move forward. And that's how I didn't ended up in the hospital because I knew what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, I just had a faith in the doctor and I understood this is the time I have. I didn't ask anyone, what's the pain, what's the gain, what's the suffering, nothing. Sometimes you have to make choices and you have to move forward because I wanted to serve longer, for a longer duration rather than getting my body affected. So that was the first thing that I realized. We can move forward. Yeah, we can skip this part. We've discussed that. And that brings us to second lesson. When not knowing is a gift. So finally I slept at 1 o'clock. कहाँ मैं 4 बजे उठने का सपना लेकर सोया था. मैं finally उठा 7 बजे. And I have, prayers to do for some hours and all that. सब कुछ चौपट हो गया. 8:30 बजे हॉस्पिटल स्टाफ नर्स आया एंड दे सेड गेट इनटू दिस हॉस्पिटल बेड एंड व्हाट नॉट. उससे पहले मैंने केवल मूवीज में देखा था. You know that what is a hospital bed or something? They put you on it, stretcher. You know, first of all you have to wear that gown. मुझे पहले तो पहनना ही नहीं आया. अगर कभी किसी ने पहना है, मैंने पहना, बांधा, फ्रंट से पूरा खुला हुआ था. मैंने कहा ये कैसा गाउन है भाई. तो नर्स भी देख के हंसने लगी. आफ्टर ऑल आई वाज इन चेन्नई. You know, the nurse was not speaking much. So she said, sir, not like this, other way around. मैंने कहा मैं उल्टा पहनूंगा तो बांधेगा कौन. तो getting to the gown was itself a nightmare for me. Anyways, I'm just giving you the, you know, how much ignorance I had. I didn't even figure it out how to wear a gown. All right, they rolled me over the bed. You know, they tied your leg, they tie up your body, you know, and I was all the while thinking, yaar, मैं hushed pushed हूँ. I told them, I said, why this? I can walk up to the operation theater now. Boli, sir, this is not the law. Law is, you have to be on this. We'll take you a stretcher. मैंने कहा मेरे पैर ठीक है, हाथ ठीक है, दिमाग भी चल रहा है. लिटा कर मेरे हाथ पैर बांध दिए. Now when you're lying on it, you see the roof and you see those flashing lights. तो थोड़ा टेंशन बढ़ने लगा. मैंने आंखें बंद कर ली. And I said, okay, let me continue chanting. And I could not take my beat back, so I had this counter which looks like a ring. And I was just trying to complete my 16 notes before I get into that because I wasn't sure आंखें खुलेंगे नहीं खुलेंगे. मैंने कहा कम से कम मैं अपना आज का कोटा तो पूरा कर लूँ. आगे जाने को इतना तो रहेगा. मैं 16 माला करके आया था. Anyways, my sister was there. She had taken some treatments in the past, so she was aware of all this thing. My eyes were closed. I was praying and I was completely in ignorance of what's going to happen. The moment I entered the operation theater, or whatever they call it, somebody tapped on my toenails, or somebody tapped on my leg. I opened my eyes. I saw my sister. She was so fearful. She was literally about to cry. तब समझ आया मैं ऑपरेशन थिएटर में घुस गया हूँ. And I was so much angry at her. मैंने कहा तूने मुझे क्यों उठाया. मैं अच्छा खासा अंधकार में अंदर जा रहा था. उसकी शक्ल को देखकर मुझे टेंशन हो गया कि अब तो कुछ बुरा होने वाला है. And that time I was thinking about it. We are so much possessed about gaining information. It's of no use. At times, ignorance is bliss. We don't have to know everything. And the other beauty of ignorance, we might call it as negative, in negative connotation, but the beauty of ignorance is, I remember the other day we were having discussion, kitna, you know, after treatment, how much pain and all that would happen and all that. I was telling them, I said, see, even if there is a pain, the beauty of this world is, the beauty of Lord's creation is, you may have pain for a few days, but once the pain is gone, and you would look back, you would not remember the pain, but you would have a good life to live forward. Even the ignorance which covers our memory is a blessing in disguise. And that time I was reminded of a verse from Upanishad where it is said, Om Purnam Adha Purnam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate, where this creation is complete in its entirety and has come from the Supreme Lord. We don't have to search out anything additional for happiness. Even ignorance adds a value. Even ignorance can act as a grace. And that's the time when I saw some mothers on the hospital, again the stretcher, being pregnant, being taken to the theater. And I was reminded of labor pain. You know, they call it as a labor pain. But still, after a while, they have a second child because they forget it. It's just because ignorance covers that. If we would not have that, we would not have 2-3 siblings. Previous generations, cricket team. Yes or no? This would not be possible. Everything in Lord's creation has its utility. We got to stop finding fault and stop cursing. We got to see how it adds value in our life. And that's the whole idea. When not knowing is a gift, ignorance is bliss. Not as an escape, but as a protection. I've discussed about it. Keep moving forward. Ignorance is mercy. I have also discussed about it. Forgetting is a feature, not a flaw. Life moves forward because we forget. If you not forget our last sickness, we not forget about other things, how can you really move forward? Therefore, forgiveness is a very vital quality which we should cultivate. We should not latch on to the past. We should keep moving forward. And that brings us to the third lesson. Helplessness creates humility. Now I'm inside the operation theater. Maybe the preparation room, and now they take me to the operation theater. They're almost, I'm right on the mat, stretcher, and there are 8-10 doctors around me. I believe I'm the only patient, assumingly. And they're all machines around. And everything is tight. I can't move my hands, I can't move my feet, body, nothing. And I saw the doctor or the nurse, bringing this white strip. She brought and kept it on my eyes. Every possible contact with the world that I had was shut down. And I don't know every time in our life, we are just receiving. But somehow we have grown up to become as if I am a self-made man and woman. How can we ever think about it? It's just not the part of life. And finally, when she put the strip on my eyes, I was completely out. And I realized, we think we are the controller. What can I really control about our life? Even when I got treated and I came out, for the next couple of days, I really needed help. And not only that, so much so, Mercy case, I really want to thank my family, first of all, my sister who stood by me all that time. Vishwamba flew to Chennai to help me for a couple of days. And there were devotees who were praying every day. So if I'm standing here through that, whatever minor treatment was there or surgery was there were so many factors responsible for making me present here. And this is what I was reflecting. I said, why do we get into this trap thinking and again, I am on my own? Life is never about that. We are always dependent. Wish we could remember it more. And that was the third lesson, helplessness, rethinking self-made. So being grateful. Crisis reveals relationship. Operation ended, I woke up and all that. I came back for next 2-3 days. I was not much in a position to move and all that because whatever treatment was there. And then I got to see, crisis, of course, nobody wants crisis in life. Sometimes crisis can break relationship. But crisis at times can also reveal your actual relationships. Friend in need is friend is indeed. In fact, crisis has a special superpower. And that is, it erases the word no time from the dictionary. Suddenly your friends, your family members becomes available to you all the time. Anyone have that experience who have gone through with that? Suddenly who earlier had no time or you had no time, suddenly they become available to you. And that's the moment you reflect. Therefore I said in the beginning, through all this ordeal, I began to value life. I began to value relationship. Most underscore or undermined for me, my aspect of relationship was with my family members. I hardly gave them time. And this time they were the one who was standing beside me. And then I realized, what's the point of relationship? We keep ourselves so busy, but if somebody is in need, if we can just make ourselves available for that person, even if we can just make one single call and ask him, how are you? Can I do something for you? It can just transform our relationship. So crisis is a crisis, but it can become a blessing because I feel so enriched after all that experience. I felt my relationship became so stronger. Those who I was trying to ignore and not pay attention all this while, I feel transformed from this experience. So there's nothing negative. It is our mind which even makes positive into negative. And it is the same mind which can make your negative into positive. even the crisis can become a blessing if we can think and look at it from that point of view. And the final lesson, the power of silence. Now, I've been asked not to speak. You got to keep quiet. You cannot speak for a week or two like that. And because I had to practice silence, I began to hear. Now, there's something, it's not that I was not hearing before. We often hear words, but we miss out on hearing the emotions. We don't pay attention to the emotions. Now here, because I have to be silent. Generally when we have a conversation, how many of you agree, if you have noticed others doing it, they don't even allow you to complete. They quickly jump into saying something, interrupt, or start giving reason, excuses. Please raise your hand. How many of these experience? Raise your hand high up. So it's not that the person have not heard, but has not heard and understood us fully. And that's what happened. Here, I only had to do hearing. I was forced to practice silence. And when I did that, something very amazing happened. In certain relationships with certain people, where I was judgmental, where I was quick to judge them for their conduct, for their behavior, for their responses, somehow that judgment diluted away. I could empathize better with them. I could understand their conditioning, why they were doing it. And that's the time I realized relationship does not necessarily become sweeter because we speak sweet words. Sometimes, or in fact most of the times, it becomes sweeter because we speak less and hear more. Let me put it the other way around. Relationship crisis does not necessarily happen only because of misunderstanding. It also happens because both the parties speaks too much. How many of you would agree? In a relationship when both the people speak too much, managing them becomes very difficult. You cannot calm anyone down. So relationship crisis, which we often call it, blame it to misunderstanding, is the secondary part of it. Primary part of it is we speak too much. We don't want to listen. And all this 2 weeks of forced austerity gave me a vision for 2026. I want to practice in my relationship which matters to me. Let's try hearing more. And don't attempt to think I can fix relationship by giving advices, by speaking some nice words. Maybe just by being silent and by just acknowledging. I strongly feel we can empathize and respect the other person far more than jumping into conclusions. How many of you agree with this? It took me a surgery to realize this. I don't want you to go through that trial to realize. Therefore, I'm sharing my experience. Let's come to the conclusion of it. So the 5 reminders, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, because many have asked me to share my experience. So these are some of the things that I thought of sharing. I'm just going to recap and share those 5 things. If you find anything valuable, car park for yourself and think on it, munch on it. Make a mission statement for 2026 to try to apply it. And the very first point is trust when clarity ends. Decision making doesn't happen or is not going to happen because you've got the clarity. We don't have scarcity of information. We have all the data, all the information. Because we have all that, therefore we are too much confused. Trust and move forward. Don't get into this analysis paralysis problem. That's the first thing. Second, you don't need to know everything. As I said, ignorance is bliss. Today's generation's challenges, they are over bombarded with information. How many adults here would agree, wish my child knew less? Please raise your hand. How many parents here would agree, wish my child knew less? They know too much prior to their age and is corrupting their minds. So we have to hold on. We don't need to know. And when it comes to decision making, people consult so many people and make no decision. So when I started getting calls on these things, I did not talk to anyone. I gave them an assignment. And most of the people never came back with assignment. There was no point because they would just ask, consult everything, but at the end they will still not make decision because they're caught up with this analysis with paralysis. Please go forward. The third reminder. Helplessness brings humility. In 2026, if you come across a situation where your project fails, or when you begin to realize you're growing old, helplessness is not hopelessness. Do not try to resist it. It's a fact of the creation. Accept the fact we are a mercy case and we live our life on the mercy. We need help of others. Don't try to fight. Don't try to take control of life. It's just not going to happen. We need helping hands and we function and grow with that. Reminder number 4, show up in crisis. If any friend, relative, anyone has got, again, if I look back, I can be very candid and I can confess, I have not been very kind to my family. At times, I have not even turned up when they were in a health crisis. I arranged somebody else to go and take care because I was engaged somewhere else. And after this incident, I made a promise for myself. Whatever happens, if anyone gets into crisis who I know, I'm going to put everything aside. I'm going to turn up for that person because nothing else matters for that person right now more than having you by their side. And that's the most important thing to do. Everything can hold. When I went through that experience, I was regretting so much. When there was an opportunity for me to really show my love and care for my family members, when I wasn't there for them and for the friends for that reason, I learned from this experience there is nothing most valuable. Even if we cannot turn up, at least just call them up. Ask them how are they. And just say, if you need anything, I'll be there for you. It can make a transformational change. Reminder number 5. Speak less, listen more. Relationship crises don't happen just because of misunderstanding. It happens often because both the parties speaks too much. Relationship does not become sweeter just because you speak sweet words. It becomes sweeter because you speak less and listen better. Listen better means your judgment goes away. Listen better means you empathize better. And all through this experience of it, if I look back, at least I'm grateful for what all happened. At times we can't even be grateful unless we experience the pain. I had to experience the pain to be grateful, but at the end of it, it was all good. And to conclude, if the life is not going according to your plans, stop asking why this is happening to me. I'll repeat myself again. If the life is not going according to your plans, stop asking why this is happening to me, because that's the very first question we all ask to ourselves. Change it. Ask, what can I learn from it? Because life is our greatest teacher. If we look at the life from that point of view, and if we treat life like that, that untoward situation will become a blessing for us. Will not complain. In fact, we'll be grateful that we went through that situation because it taught us something valuable. With that, some thoughts and some reflections I'd like to conclude here. I once again wish to thank each and every one of you for this opportunity and also for coming for this event. If in case nothing made sense, forget about it. If something made sense, I would hope that I could serve you in some way. Thank you for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.